Welcome everyone to our live class today. Today's session is all about setup and workflow optimization, and this is a joint live class between Practice Better and Ginger Desk. Very excited to share this content with you all today. Julie and I were going through it before we kicked off, and I think it's come together really nicely and it's going to be incredibly helpful for you all. So let's dive in and get started. Today, we're going to be going through 3 common scenarios that practitioners face that can really disrupt your progress in your business or impede on your growth and ultimately your business outcomes and the trickle down effect that happens with that. You know, your client care and word of mouth referrals and everything starts to feel impacted. So, with each scenario that we go through of those 3, we're going to review kind of the Ginger Desk solution and some optimization tips in Practice Better. You're going to learn what you can delegate and what you can start to automate in your business too. So those 2 things are just both so important for your overall growth and success. Julie is going to share how Ginger Desk would provide support to a practitioner who is reaching out with the experience that we outline in the mock scenarios. And then we'll share those considerations for what you might want to focus on with Practice Better, whether that's you in there or even your VA, your virtual assistant, as you continue to learn. Just some housekeeping items before we get started. This is being recorded, so you can always revisit this content, or if you need to hop off early to go see a client or a patient, no worries, this will land in your inbox soon enough. We've got some time for Q&A at the end. It's about a 60-minute session today. And we also have the chat open. We love seeing your engagement, hearing your questions. We have Taba here too, who's going to be hanging out in the chat a little bit. So feel free to say hi to her as well. But now that we've taken care of housekeeping, let's get into some intros. So first and foremost, hi. Maybe you've been on a webinar or a class or a session with me in the past. Maybe this is your first time, but my name is Brittany, and a lot of the work that I do at Practice Better is classes and sessions like these with our amazing partners. And we bring you a lot of business building content and content that's really designed to help you elevate your practice and your client care. So I'm always kind of marrying those business pieces of advice with the technology of Practice Better to show you how you can do that. So Practice Better, of course, being our EHR practice management software to help you kind of run all different aspects of your business. And Julie, I will let you introduce yourself as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brittany, so much. I just wanted to mention, are we going to share slides at this point, or did you want to wait for the slides?
Oh, is my screen share not up?
I don't see it.
My goodness, good catch.
Okay,
Here we
great.
go.
Oh, excellent. There we go. Thank you, Brittany, so much. It's such an honor to be here, everyone. Welcome, Practice Better community and Ginger Desk community. It's so great to see everyone here. So before we jump in, I'll tell you a little bit about who the heck I am and why I'm qualified to be here today. I'm a naturopathic physician from, as I said, Vancouver, Canada. I'm also the very proud founder and CEO of Ginger Desk. And I happen to be a really big fan of Practice Better. I've been in practice now for almost 20 years. And before I started Ginger Desk back in 2020, I had a really thriving practice treating women, hormone health, and pediatrics. So I know what it's like to have a really busy clinic and to have a wait list and to be trying to juggle all the things like being a practitioner and also being a business owner. So I'm here today to speak to you about that. I also get what it's like to be owning a clinic. I've run 2 of them in my lifetime, owned 2 rather. And I'm also a parent to 2 kids who are always skateboarding and launching off ramps. So I get the risk, I get the busyness, and I'm here for all of it. So I'm excited to talk to you all today about what we do here at Ginger Desk. So at Ginger Desk, we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of practitioners, And aside from running the day-to-day practices of our health practitioners, we also do practice admin audits. We create office manuals as well that we like to call practice playbooks. So we live and breathe workflows and practice efficiency using Practice Better specifically. We're also a North American company, and all of our team is located here in North America. So as Brittany said, what we're talking about today is setting your practice up for success from the ground up. So whether you've been in practice like me for 15 plus years, or maybe you're just getting started using an EHR, you will find yourself at different stages of needing to be organized along the way. So I always like to remind practitioners that as practitioners, we always suggest that patients come to see us for preventative health checkups. But have a think today about when is the last time that you actually really thought about your admin department and performed a health checkup on your admin department to really reevaluate the tools that you need, the tools that you're currently using, where the gaps might be. We're often so used to looking at our finances, at our KPIs, our key performance indicators, at our treatment protocols, upgrading our research and our marketing. But the tortured admin department is often left out of our strategy sessions. And so it's really the one that is driving and retaining your patients. So I just want to give you that opportunity today to have a think about what your admin department needs, where you might be lacking in terms of organization, and then we'll start to share which Practice Better features that you can consider to really up-level your admin game. So I know that using Practice Better's features to their full capacity will keep you highly organized and it will maximize your practice's potential. So Brittany and I are going to show you when and where to put your focus with the ultimate goal of saving you time and money. So we'll be going through the 3 stages of the clinician's journey today, and then we're going to speak to the obstacles and solutions that exist at each level. So before we dive in, we have a really exciting announcement to make. And in so many ways, on so many levels, I'm very excited to speak to this because it's been a couple years in the making, but I'm very excited to officially announce our partnership with Practice Better. So Ginger Desk's partnership with Practice Better. We work so well together, and thank you for all your support over the years, Brittany. And now we can officially share and shout it from the rooftops that together we aspire to help more practitioners find admin freedom. So thank you for having us here today, Brittany.
Yes, we're so excited. And this really comes from hearing feedback from our community and paying attention to the practitioners who are using Practice Better that, there was constant questions for VA support. So this is a really aligned partnership with, finding support for our users with a company that we feel confident in and that we just feel very sure of the level of care and type of support that they can offer. So what's so nice is that through this partnership and this VA service, we work really closely together. Practice Better provides training for Ginger Desk and resources to ensure that all of the virtual assistants can provide exceptional service to you.
And so what this means for those of you who are considering a shift to Practice Better or existing current Practice Better customers is that we can perform new account setups for Practice Better. So we know that you're busy in practice seeing clients. For those of you who don't have time to set up your new account on your own, that's what we take care of, and we do it really quickly. For existing Practice Better customers, if you've been working with Practice Better for quite some time, we also have an option to do an admin optimization in your Practice Better account for you. So we'll go in and we'll highlight the features that you could optimize in order to save time or money. We also, as I mentioned before, will build out office manuals. So if you don't have your systems documented, that's something that our team loves to do, and we're really good at it. We also have day-to-day VA support. We work in practices Monday to Friday, doing everything your front desk would do, like communications through email, text, and phone, invoicing and accounts payable. And in Canada, we do direct insurance billing. In the US, we do insurance pre-authorizations. We do a lot more than that. Those are just to touch on a few key features. We do 99% of what the front desk can do. We just do it remotely. And we do it all according to the Ginger Way, which is a highly organized and systemized method of clinic management. So thanks, Brittany. I'll pass this over to you so you can introduce us to scenario number 1.
Perfect. Yeah, we're going to look at our first common business pain point. And this one is all about kind of finding the right tools for your success. So keep in mind, these are not real quotes; these are mock scenarios. But this is the practitioner who has been, patchworking different software tools together and having a hard time getting things to work smoothly. So maybe they're still using things like paper charts or an online scheduler or emailing back and forth to schedule their appointments. So there's this feeling of disorganization, this inefficiency, and knowing that there's probably a better way, but they just don't know where to start. Maybe things like EHRs or practice management software has kind of been on their radar, but they're not sure how to dive in. So question for everyone who is here live, let us know in the chat if when you read through this scenario and you hear what I'm saying, if this resonates with you and you can relate to what scenario 1 is outlining. Drop that in the chat for us. Julie, let's run through how Ginger Desk supports somebody who's experiencing this particular pain point.
Awesome. So I want to start by saying that this practitioner, what they need to do is they need to really consider all aspects of their foundation so they can set things up correctly right from the beginning. And making the decision to move to an EHR or to a practice management system like Practice Better often means that you're combining several tools all into one platform. And it really makes sense to do this properly from the beginning and to do so intentionally. So the benefits of laying your practice foundation early are many. To name a few, it's important to organize your systems while you have time. So I told you before that I had this really thriving practice before I launched Ginger Desk. And I will say that once you're busy in practice and you've got like a 3 to 6 month wait list, it's really difficult to then go back and reorganize systems. So laying that foundation early while you've got a little bit of time in your schedule is really worth your while, and it will just pay off loads later. And I also suggest that you consider starting with the end in mind. So if your vision is to bring on associates one day, with launching your EHR and then expanding your practice, maybe having multiple locations, but having staff, setting your practice right from the start up correctly will really allow you to scale faster when you get there. You'll be able to also attract better associates when they can see that you've really done the work to set your systems up well. It will also save their time and make it so that more of their time is billable. The other thing about starting with the end in mind is mapping out your client's journey appropriately. So really take a moment to consider what your client is going through from the moment they book to the intake forms they fill out to the treatment protocols you create, and then the point of invoicing and maybe a thank you note after. Really consider making that entire journey from the moment they find your website to the moment they leave your practice delightful through really intentional planning and really important key touch points so that they feel seen and heard, and so that they tell their friends and family and remember what a great time that they had visiting your practice. So our solution at Ginger Desk for this client who wants to set up their EHR is possibly VA support. So it depends how busy they are with their patients right now. Practice Better is so well automated that often practitioners can do most things themselves. Now, if you find that you're getting bogged down with admin after hours or feeling disorganized between patients, this is something that you really do want to consider getting a VA to act as your gatekeeper. And I use the word gatekeeper in a really loving way, but it's that, as health practitioners, we can often be asked treatment questions when we engage in email communication, text, or phone. And so I really want you to consider if you need a gatekeeper at this point, and if you think you're going to need one soon, really investing early in getting that gatekeeper set up successfully. Because even if you don't have enough money or budget to support a full-time admin, you can hire someone fractionally. And the benefit is that your clients will perceive that you've made it. There really is this amazing perception of success when folks have someone else supporting the communications by email and phone on behalf of your practice. So I will say too, some folks call us and they say, I really need the help. I'm just struggling with my budget. And my suggestion for folks in this initial stage is outsource just gradually. Just start with only the most important tasks that you absolutely need for success. And you can slowly add on layers of support as you grow. So this is meant to be an offering that feels good and supports you at any stage of your growth. Now, the best place for you to start if you don't yet have a Practice Better account is for you to get support setting the account up. So again, this is where this practitioner should begin. So Ginger Desk can set up this whole new Practice Better system correctly from the beginning, and all without disrupting your regular flow of patient care. So this is a one-time project with Ginger Desk. You can purchase this one-time project with us and we'll get it done in 1 to 2 weeks for you. And we'll do it so well and make sure that all of your features are optimized based on what you are looking to do now and where you're intending to grow in the next couple of years. So we'll go through your entire Practice Better account. We'll set up templates and we'll make sure you're using all the features in the most efficient way possible. And it's so nice to have a hand in doing this, especially when you're new to Practice Better and you maybe don't know it as well as you could. So I will pass it over to Brittany now.
Yeah, that's awesome. One thing I want to mention too that you didn't mention is Ginger Desk can actually help you move to Practice Better from a different EHR. So even if you start to dip your toes into a software and it's just not clicking with you or jiving, there's still opportunity to work with Ginger Desk and they can help you get set up and Practice Better as well. So that's really incredible. So let's go through some tips and considerations for Practice Better to support the practitioners who's experiencing this kind of startup pain point. Typically to get off the ground and start using the EHR Practice Better in this case and scenario to serve clients as soon as possible, we recommend kind of this core 4 setup. So that would be things like your services, availability, forms, and notes. This is enough to scratch the surface to start seeing clients immediately in Practice Better, where you can, start to generate more revenue and do your thing, not have to put a hiatus on your calendar. But as Julie mentioned, this is likely a stage where you have a bit more time to focus on the foundation. And I love what she said about building with the end in mind. This is something that I talk about in my classes, in my sessions all the time. It's not thinking about the business as it stands today, but where you want to go and thinking about your goals, what you want to achieve in your business. So now just really feels like the right time to get very intentional with those features and that setup so that you have the ability to maintain the momentum as you build it. So you can create a more solid foundation beyond that kind of core 4 by taking it further with features like form mapping, tags, and being very, very thorough and intentional with your calendar setup as well. So keep in mind, as I'm recommending some of these Practice Better considerations, these are things that you could talk to your VA about. These are things that you can bring to them that they can support you with. Or as Julie mentioned, maybe you feel like you can tackle some of this on your own too. So there's options there depending on budget and time and how tech savvy you feel and all of those different considerations. So let's take a very quick look at each of these, form mapping, tags, and optimizing your calendar setting. So form mapping, if this is a feature that is new to you, what it does is it takes completed information from a submitted form. So let's say that your client has submitted an intake form and they're new to your practice and you're just starting to work with them, and it can import that information into their client record. So every client that you work with in Practice Better is going to have this really comprehensive record that all this information, everything that you do with them is automatically stored in it. And what this is going to do is it's going to ensure that you have quick access to the information that you need. There's not going to be any kind of manual input where you're inputting things like phone numbers and emails, addresses, or details that you need to stay top of mind with about the patient or client. And it will just input it in there for you. So with all of your forms, what you can do is set up mapping where certain information on the form is told to go to a certain place in the client record. And then when you submit or receive that submitted form, all of this information is pulled over automatically. So what's really fantastic about information like this is that this is a type of feature in Practice Better that serves beyond its immediate function. So what I mean by that is like the immediate function on the surface level is that it's taking information from a completed form and it's pulling into the client record. But we can use it in other ways once it's in that client record. So what you're seeing on screen here, it's a note template, so where you're going to be doing your charting, and I'm using a feature called placeholders. And this placeholder is going to input information specific to the client from their client record. So the template will just be kind of generic, and then when you create it for the client, it will populate with their specific information automatically. So really nice to not have to bounce back and forth between the client record, between your note, try and find that form where they said that thing, or spend your time manually inputting. So this is a really great kind of added foundational setup tip that I would love to see people use more when they're just getting started with that idea in mind that one day you're going to be very busy, you're not going to have time to do the manual input. And even when you're thinking about your VA, what can they be doing that's more impactful than manual input if you have a feature that's going to do this for you? Okay, so that's number one, is form mapping. Tags is another fantastic feature that I would set up as soon as possible. So when you're onboarding your first few clients and building momentum in your business, it can be relatively easy to keep tabs on who's who. Like you'll likely recognize their names and what they're coming to you for, things of that nature. However, again, with that philosophy of thinking about the end in mind, think about the business that you aspire to and how many clients would be on that list. So tags help you stay organized and label clients in whatever way you'd like. And you can set up these tags to be automatically assigned or even removed depending on the client status. So let's say that you automatically assign the client tag when they buy a package from you. And then when they've had their last session, you can remove that tag so that you know that they're no longer an active client. That's kind of an example for you. So, beyond a label that's going to help you understand who that client is, you can also use tags to very efficiently send communication to anyone that's associated with that tag. So you can make things like client check-ins and personalized touch points really easy because you can take all those active clients at once, send them a message, and it's still going to feel like a very personalized message to them. So I think this is really key to ensuring that you've got that solid foundation, again, for your growth. And lastly, for our first scenario, it's calendar optimization. So with Practice Better, you can book and host sessions all in the same place. And while you're starting out and getting your Practice Better account optimized and set up, I highly recommend taking a really deep look into your calendar settings and revisiting them often to ensure that they continue to work for you and your business. So certain features can consolidate your bookings, for example, or only show a certain number of available time slots so that you're not booking unreasonably in advance, especially as you're getting your first clients. Like it would be great to have them more, in one day versus like one on Monday, one on Friday, so you can kind of consolidate your days a little bit better. And this is something that your VA can help you with too in managing. And so, making sure that it works for your personal life, for your work life, that you've got that balance between working with clients and the behind the scenes work too. So there's some like 3 considerations to keep in mind for Practice Better. We're going to move on to scenario 2, and that's kind of based on creating systems and workflows. So this is a client that's maybe, found their tools and systems, but now it's kind of getting to that pain point of building momentum in their business. We talk to our users in Practice Better all the time, and the number one pain point that we hear is, how do I find clients? Like I've got so much to do with the administrative tasks and the actual facilitating my current clients and getting them what they need that how do I spend the time marketing and actually onboarding new clients? So it's a very common pain point. And, of course, we need those clients in order to be hitting our revenue goals and growing. And it gets to the point where each client can feel so time demanding, the clients that we have, that we start to question how sustainable is the business because I can only see so many clients at once. So let us know in the chat if any of that feels relevant to you or you're resonating or nodding your head along as I read that out to you.
And
And
I'd
just
love to comment. I'd love to comment on that, Brittany, before we go on. But I love what you say about that, because we hear that at Ginger Desk all the time too, that folks want to get busier. They want to know where they can free up their time and how they can get more patients. And I want to just suggest the idea of your zone of genius here. So those of you who are trying to do everything, it's because you're smart and you're capable and you know you can do everything. But the idea here is, do you want to do everything? Because this is where we see a lot of folks landing in burnout. And if you're trying to do all your own admin and you're also trying to launch this marketing engine, it can quickly become exhausting. And so I like to just make a suggestion that you might want to consider where your zone of genius lies and where your time is best spent. And if you want to get busier, I suggest to all my associates at my own clinic, spend the time doing webinars and getting on, hitting the pavement and going to meet other practitioners who are in your area to talk to them about referrals. Really optimizing your online presence too. There's so much that only you can do, and your time is really best spent doing just that. And I'm here to talk to you about how we can support the other things so that you can focus on your zone of genius.
so true. I love that you added that.
So what I suggest that folks look at are two things. One is practice optimization. So if you want to get busier, it's really important that you automate those features in practice better that can work for you. So that's where we can help. We can help you do a full practice better optimization, so that you can optimize your time. And then the next thing is getting that day-to-day VA support so that you're not bogged down by the minutia of administrative tasks. Again, so that you can be free to focus on your zone of genius and really beef up your marketing and spend time networking, because you are truly the only one who can do that stuff. But there are other people out there that love to do admin, and they're really, really good at it too. So I'd love to talk about a case study here. We see, like I said before, hundreds of practitioners who have different pain points, but one that we see most often is this idea of this solo practitioner. This practitioner here we'll call her Dr. P, saw 40 patients a week. Now, for those of you who are mental health practitioners and also naturopathic doctors like me, 40 might sound like it's a lot, and you may not want to get busier at that level. So for NDs and mental health therapists, you might consider that it's, say, 10 patients a week, and you want to get busier. But if you're a physio or a chiro, 40 is not very much. Like, you might be looking to grow your practice to see 200 a week. So before finding Ginger Desk, Dr. P saw 40 patients a week. She did all of her own admin support, and she was heading toward burnout. She was working on her admin tasks late into the evening and on weekends, taking time away from seeing her children. And then her patients would get these autoresponders when they tried to email her practice, saying that she would be back to them in 72 hours or more. So they weren't getting any release of records they needed on time. They weren't getting lab requisitions, supplement recommendations, and things were really falling through the cracks. So Dr. P was hesitant at first to delegate all of her admin to someone else. She was so used to being the brains behind her practice and being in charge of all her own admin and being this one-woman show that she really relied on only herself for success. And I'm sure a lot of us can relate to this. I know I can. We've done it all for so long that it's really hard sometimes to switch gears and then know how and where to delegate tasks. Within just a week of delegating to Ginger Desk, we quickly gained her trust, and we now support Dr. P with all of her admin tasks, including all her emails, her voicemails and return outgoing calls, all her patient bookings, her billings, and all her AR, so her accounts receivable. We support writing her lab recs for her, doing drop shipping of lab kits, tracking the return of those results. We sit on monthly webinars with Dr. P, just like we're doing right now, and we can manage the chat, co-manage the Q&A for her. We also support product sales from her online dispensary. And Dr. P has created now a practice playbook that has all of her documented practice processes all in one organized place. So this has had such a big impact on Dr. P, and her life now looks so different. She's now got time to build her practice, to work on her business, not always just in it. So she's got some significant changes that she's managed to do. She now sees 5 more patients per week, generating more revenue. Yet her wait list is completely managed every day, and her schedule is full at 3 days, not 5. So that means she's got 2 extra days in the week to do whatever she likes. She can work on her fitness, she can hang out with her kids, volunteer at their school, she can take time out to write a course or write a book. Her patient response time is now down to 2 hours from 72 hours. We've decreased her overall stress level by 75% just by having admin support. It seems like such a small thing, but there really is a weight to having this constant to-do list on our shoulders, and we've managed to relieve that for Dr. P. We've also improved her energy by 50%. So super proud of this doctor for really increasing her schedule, but managing to free up so much more of her time.
Yeah, the reason why I find that so amazing and why this feels like such a aligned, synergistic partnership is because for anyone who doesn't know, Practice Better, kind of behind the scenes, we're very passionate about helping practitioners avoid burnout. Many people on our team are practitioners and come from a background where they were practicing with clients and likely experienced a taste or kind of a tipping point towards that state. And we know how prevalent it is in this health and wellness industry that you put so much into your business that suddenly you're working out of alignment with what you're practicing and preaching to your clients. So it's a really kind of deep mission for Practice Better to help practitioners avoid that as much as possible. And we love that Ginger Desk is providing results as they are with Dr. P with many other clients too. So let's talk about, with this scenario, what you can consider in Practice Better. And when I think about scenario 2 and the practitioner who's like overburdened with administrative tasks and feeling like they're wearing so many hats, they're stretched too thin and they can't make things sustainable, I'm thinking about their time. So what can we do within Practice Better to streamline your account so you can take back your time and focus on some of the work that's maybe going to be a little bit more impactful? And as Julie shared, like staying in your zone of genius so that the work that you're doing is the most impactful. So we have a feature in Practice Better called automations. So they're going to help facilitate your administrative tasks. They're kind of like set it and forget it features that are going to require a really quick setup, and then you're done. You don't have to really revisit it unless you want to kind of change some things around. And they help reduce daily repetitive tasks that are necessary, but not necessarily like the things that are driving more revenue into your business, but the things that are also kind of like stealing your time. We also are a huge fan of templates because we've recognized that a lot of what practitioners are doing on a day-to-day basis is kind of the same stuff over and over again. So if we can kind of help eliminate that repetitiveness or create kind of a framework through a template so that you don't have to start from scratch and then repeat work every single time, we've got some amazing features that are going to help you do that. And they're going to help you reduce the amount of time to complete a task, making you more efficient, more dynamic, more able to spend that time in more impactful ways, and really heighten your client care. So imagine getting an email response in 2 hours versus 3 days, or imagine getting your protocol back in a couple of hours versus the next week, and having your client being able to start sooner. So things like that are possible through these features. So here on screen, you're looking at kind of all of the different automations that you can set up to handle those recurring repetitive tasks. And one thing that I always like to point out is that each of these can be used in a multitude of ways. So it's not like you click this button, you set it up, and then that one's done. You can use all of these in so many ways and get so incredibly granular with how you are automating. And there's obviously quite a list here. So I have a few that I love to recommend as first automations. So looking at this list here, kind of confirming new package requests. If you have a really solid onboarding strategy, you don't necessarily have to go through a request process to then accept an appointment. You can just have them be automatically accepted. Adding tags, we talked about that. So adding, update, or remove client tags, that's a great one to start with. So let's say that you have a client who buys a certain package, they're automatically assigned a tag that lets them know that they're an active client, and then you can remove it when they're done, things of that sort. What else do I really love? The sending forms after a booking or a package, depending how you've set up. So not having to manually send a client an intake form. The system can do it for you so that as soon as that booking takes place, the client automatically has that form in their hands that they can fill out digitally and send back to you. So that one's usually like the first one that I tell people to get started with. And then lastly here, because we talked about this one here, import completed forms into client files. This is kind of part of that setup for the form mapping that we talked about for scenario one. And this allows that to be a fully automated process. So I've kind of given you a laundry list here, but the point is definitely make use of these automations, because this is what's going to give you back your time so that you can start to focus on the work that you feel is more impactful, whether that's client care or obtaining new clients, things of that nature. Next, what I want to say here is that if you are a practitioner who has kind of found your specialty or your niche, the thing that you like to work within, you're likely making a lot of similar recommendations to your clients. So I don't know, throw out your specialization or your niche in the chat. Let's see. Oftentimes, we hear that people are working in gut health or hormonal health, or maybe they're focusing on pediatrics or things of that nature, where a lot of the time they're making similar recommendations to every single client, and then maybe tweaking things to the individual as per their specific needs. So rather than start from scratch every single time, you can use templates throughout Practice Better to create kind of what I like to call a framework. And this is going to house all your most used recommendations, and they can be included and formatted for really easy kind of use for the client. And then again, they can be tailored and tweaked to the client. So you can do this in features like protocols, so where you're kind of coming up with your care plan for your client, your charting or your notes so that it's really efficient, can be a really nice kind of guideline for your different session types that you're hosting with your client, or even program modules. So all of these things can be templated so that you can get that framework and not have to start from scratch every single time. I can see in the chat here that we've got people who are working with things like brain health and hormonal health, gut health, weight loss, hormones. So likely when you're talking to those clients that fit within that description, you have some common recommendations. So you don't have to kind of type everything out from scratch every single time. You can turn things back to the client much faster. And as Julie mentioned, if you are feeling overburdened, by research and creating treatment plans and protocols for your clients, and creating those resources for them, we actually have quite a few done-for-you solutions that we offer through Practice Better that are located in our community space. And I'll drop a link in the chat for this shortly. But this is a space that you can network with your colleagues, use these done-for-you solutions, learn about Practice Better. It's kind of a full hub of resources for our users. And you can take these programs or these forms and note templates and input them into your account. And you've got this really good kind of head start that you can either use as is or tailor to your recommendations as well. All right, let's go on to scenario 3, our third and last scenario. And this one is all about practitioners who are experiencing rapid growth and wanting to scale successfully. And I do see this a lot. I see the clients who all of a sudden things take off. They get good word of mouth. Something goes viral on TikTok or Instagram. And they've got this like influx of inquiries. and they don't have the systems in place to handle this influx of business, and the wheels start to fall off. So let's go through this here. It's the client who says, I'm so busy and my associates are busy too, but things have started to fall through the cracks. We aren't able to do client recalls. Billing isn't always done within 24 hours, and our response time has been much slower than usual. I want to scale and open up a second location, but I also want to allow for a concierge type experience for my patients where they feel highly supported by us and connected to our practice. So again, let me know in the chat if this scenario 3 is something that you've experienced a taste of or you're in the thick of right now. Let us know in the chat. And Julie, can you share with us how Ginger Desk would support the rapidly growing practitioner?
Yes, thank you, Brittany. And I'll say that this practitioner might look a little bit different. So this practitioner who is rapidly scaling, adding associates, maybe adding separate locations, they often come to us with existing staff and they wonder, they're saying like, my staff is here, but we still can't get to the client recalls, or we still can't get to our accounts receivable. There's so many things that could optimize this experience, but we're just kind of treading water. And for those practitioners, I say like, we have got you. We can absolutely support you. And in fact, this is the beautiful time to introduce a fractional VA in the background where they can handle a certain dedicated tasks that really frees up your in-person staff or your other existing staff to do what they do best. So it might be that the staff that you've currently got is awesome at building rapport with your patients. So that's beautiful. And we want to really protect that. So what we could do in the background is the more digitally accessible stuff, like your direct billing if you're here in Canada, or maybe all the insurance pre-auths. And I think there's such an amazing opportunity for clinic owners to really support their current team when they bring on a new VA. So you could even sit down with your current team before you consider bringing on a VA. And you could say to them, I'm looking at this company and I want to get you more support. And you'll now have the opportunity to choose which department you want to thrive in. And we find it just builds so much morale in the clinic when people offer that opportunity to their current staff, so that you can see that Ginger Desk is there to support them as well. And then the relationships just really thrive from there moving forward. So our support and solution for this kind of really busy practitioner that is very quickly scaling, possibly with staff, possibly without, is that we get in there and optimize your practice better automations early on. So that's number one. Number two is that we get you the day-to-day support. And like I said just now, it might be that we're not handling all your admin tasks, but it might just be certain ones that really move the needle. And that you really need support on. And so we're happy to customize a package and do only certain dedicated tasks, whatever you need. So I'd love to go to this case study. It's a busy multidisciplinary clinic that we worked with that has 10 associates. I think they actually now have 14 associates. And we met with the clinic owner and also the office manager, and they both were frustrated. They came to us after hiring 3 employees in the last 3 months, only to train them and then have them quit. All of them quit. So the clinic team just couldn't imagine repeating this cycle over again. They were so exhausted by the constant turnover in their admin staff. So they came to us looking for a support that would give them consistent front desk coverage on dedicated tasks with no downtime in the practice. And a lot of people don't realize that that's what the benefit is of hiring Ginger Desk, is that we're a whole team here supporting your practice behind the scenes. So if your VA is ever sick, goes on parental leave, goes on vacation, we have another VA who can step in and support your practice so that you don't have any downtime. And for really busy clinics that are adding locations, this really matters. And you want to make sure that your accounts receivable is up to date and that billing is still going through, even if somebody is sick. So we now support these essential, these 5 tasks in this clinic. We do all patient bookings and rescheduling. We handle all the billings and the accounts receivable. We do patient recalls. So we can call folks who haven't been in 3, 6, or 12 months and offer them custom scripts, or we can create custom scripts and offer them an appointment with the practitioner so that we can make sure that your associates' schedules are always full. We can handle all the releases of records and faxes. I will say, for those of you who are clinic owners here, I'd love to know who's a clinic owner. If you could comment here. If you have existing staff, ask them what it is that they absolutely hate doing. And I would say 9 times out of 10, it's faxes and release of records. So that's something that we can easily take off their plate and just free them up to find all the joy in their job again. And we can also call in and check your voicemails and make outgoing calls as needed. So what this looks like for this clinic owner now is that they can now sit back without having to worry about staff absences, employee turnover, training new employees. And Ginger Desk has had a massive impact on the clinic's key metrics, including improved patient response time. So they went from getting an answer back in 2 days down to 4 hours. They have 20% more new patient bookings due to this improved response time. So that's really critical. I mean, it's a sign of a really healthy practice is the ability to take on new patients, even when you're busy. So it's really critical that you get your systems dialed so that you can accommodate that. They also had 20% more return visits for their associates due to those successful recalls. And their accounts receivable was at 0 every 48 hours, instead of having this long list of $30,000 that they were due. They had no more staff turnover. They've stopped the cycle of hiring and training, and there's no clinic downtime. So whenever their staff is absent, the VA is there to pick up the pace. Whenever the VA is absent, another VA is there to step into their place. And the clinic now saves $2,400 per month on their admin payroll fees since hiring Ginger Desk. So such a great success story there. Now we have the next slide there, Brittany. Oh, you've got some stuff, and then I'll get into our surprise after.
Yes, yeah. So we just have, I'll run through this quick for this third practitioner type who is rapidly growing and scaling. Kind of what do they need to do in Practice Better to ensure that while Ginger Desk is supporting the business administrative side to get this company in a position where, you know, the scaling is fluid and in motion. How can you ensure that the client care doesn't slip through the cracks? Because oftentimes, if we're trying to do both at once, it's very hard to grow without compromising somewhere. And we don't want it to be client care. And of course, you're the one that's the expert in that. So let's ensure that the client remains having that high level experience and doesn't get kind of lost in the weeds. And you know, you can focus on both things at once. So features like Practice Better's programs will allow you to provide resources, content, and support without the same kind of dedicated one-to-one time that's dedicated to them. And as a partner, or a partner rather, of ours shared this philosophy recently in another live class that I was doing of saying kind of the one-on-one sessions are the time that you use to transform the client. And in between, that's when you can use programs to inform the client. So allowing them to have access to incredible resources and support and all the things that they need to really ensure. And you can build out these packages that include one-on-one sessions and a program that they would be automatically enrolled to ensure that they're getting what they need. So there's really so many ways that you can share resources, information, and content in a really automated way. Sorry, let me have some water. But let's take a look here. Like, you can set up the programs feature to deliver all kinds of content. I really love the idea of pairing these again with your one-on-one sessions so that in between they don't feel like they're not getting the support and care that they need from you and that they paid for and that they feel like they expect from you. So these tools that exist in Practice Better, whether it's the programs feature like we're seeing on screen here, or even the features like the journals, they can act as a really great intermediary in between those one-on-one sessions that just allow you to be a little bit more dynamic with your time, where it's less intensive of your time. So you can kind of async with your clients. And beyond this, your VA or you can be, doing a schedule check-in to ensure that the client has consistent communication and support without the daily time burden of doing so. So here's an example of scheduled communication with a call to action to complete a check-in form that I have built into the design of my program. So, you can be considering as you're mapping out your client journey exactly when and how you want your client to hear from you. And it can still feel very personal. It can still have, great results, whether it's very casual and conversational, or there's more of a direct call to action for them to do something like complete a form where they're then getting kind of formatted responses back. And you have various ways that you can do this, whether it's something like you're seeing here, this is an email only module that's a part of the program, or you can send a broadcast message to one of your groups of tags, or for one-off scenarios, schedule a secure chat message. So point being is there's tons of ways to dedicate care, resources, content support to your clients without the one-on-one time commitment, so that as you're in that rapid growth phase that's maybe requiring a little bit more of your dedicated time, your clients still feel like they're having a really incredible experience with you. As your team grows, I also want to put on your radar that our team plan allows you to have multiple practitioners on your team, and they can have varying designation types as well. And you can also have designated administrative staff. So this is something that you could do with your VA. You can add them as an admin and then set their roles and permissions accordingly so that they have access to what they need in your Practice Better account. And this is going to allow you to offer that concierge style care, which is really growing in popularity. That's another, thing that we've heard from our community lately. And also have that incredible VA support where everyone has their dedicated roles, permissions, and logins as well. So we've gone over a lot. Let's recap. We basically have highlighted, hopefully very clearly, that Practice Better and Ginger Desk are a great pair to help you overcome scaling business pain points. Practice Better, of course, is designed that you can be a solo practitioner and wear all the hats if you want to, but if you're finding that you're experiencing some of these pain points in your business, maybe it's time to start delegating, and Ginger Desk is the solution for you there. So throughout every stage of your client journey, I hope it also came across to you that you never have to sacrifice exceptional client care, that no matter whether you've got just your first couple of clients or you've got more clients than you can handle, you can still support them in a really high touch point way. This hopefully helped you understand what you want to start automating more in your business too, and what maybe it's the right thing to start delegating, whether that's that one-off service like Julie mentioned of getting your Practice Better set up, and then you want to take it from there until you start to hit that rapid growth phase, or you want to, rely on administrative staff a little bit more heavily so that you can stay better in that zone of genius. And then we can just ensure that you, again, grow while you're providing exceptional care and experience.
Excellent. Thank you, Brittany. So we have a super exciting announcement. We are doing a giveaway that launches today, actually right now on Instagram. And this giveaway is for new Practice Better customers, but also those of you existing who are already using Practice Better. We're offering $1,000 off any of our packages to the lucky winner. So you could use that $1,000 for a Practice Better optimization, which is valued at $9.99. So it would be free. You can put it toward a new account setup, or you can put it toward a day-to-day dedicated VA support. So you can click the QR code here to enter on our Instagram page, or if you've got IG open, you can go to Ginger Desk's page right there and enter to win. Good luck, everyone. And thank you so much to Brittany for this super fun session and the whole team at Practice Better.
Yeah, thank you so much, Julie. It has been so wonderful kicking off this partnership with you and this session today to kind of share with our community. If you are new to Practice Better, we would love to help you get started. On the screen here is a coupon code that you can apply to any paid account. You'll always start with a free trial. So on that free trial, you get to kind of bounce around different plan types, find the one that best suits your current phase of business and the features that you need. My favorite is always going to be the Plus plan because I think it gives you just kind of the best value. So go ahead and give that a try, but you've got various different price points and plan types depending on what part of your, what phase of business you're at. So that's a 14-day free trial, and you can input that there. Let's move on to Q&A. We are just about at the hour. We're going to continue this recording through this Q&A. So if you need to hop off at the hour, you can do so without fear that you're going to miss any of the content because we got a lot of great questions that we're about to answer. So Julie, let's kick it off. I'm going to read through the Q&A here. And for anyone that has put a question in the chat, please feel free to put it in the Q&A so that we don't miss it. And we'll get to as many as we can. We're going to spend maybe about 10 or so minutes answering some questions here. Okay, so Julie, the first question, and we'll kind of figure out who best is to answer these questions. Is Practice Better so complex with tons of features that we need to pay someone to help customize our account in addition to the monthly Practice Better price? No, not necessarily. It depends on your goals. It depends on what you're experiencing in your business as far as kind of those 3 mock scenarios. And of course, there's other scenarios too. If you want to use Practice Better as a practitioner on your own, you can do so. So Ginger Desk is here to support the practitioners that need the support and that want the support in terms of growth and freeing up their time and their bandwidth. But if you feel like you're able to handle things, you absolutely can. And what I will say about Practice Better is that you can scratch the surface and get by using some of our more quote unquote basic features that allow you to schedule, collect payment, see your clients, deliver them resources, or you can go really in depth. So it kind of depends on how involved you want to get there. Next question. Is the create notes for recorded telehealth sessions feature visible to the client? Are we legally obligated to tell them that we're using an automation tool to create summary of the session and main points communicated to the client? So Michael, I think you're referring to our AI tool, AI charting assistant. The client doesn't necessarily see this, so I would recommend getting consent from them, whether on an intake form so that you have explicit permission to use that tool, maybe doing a secondary touch point with them when you start the session. You have features in Practice Better that allow you to toggle that AI charting assistant on automatically for all your telehealth sessions, or you can keep it off so that you manually turn it on. So if you are worried about having explicit client permission, you might want to keep it toggled off until you know that you have that, and then you can toggle it on and they'll be aware of it. Not a bad idea to stick it in the form so that you have proof and record of their permission, but you'll kind of figure that out with your own workflow. Every practitioner will do so a little bit differently. Someone is asking, what if we feel like we've leveraged all the optimizations or automations that have been mentioned? Well, if you have used all of those features that I have outlined in the Practice Better kind of portion of today's class, then maybe it's time, if you are experiencing pain points or you're not growing or hitting goals the way that you want to, or you want to free up time to try something new in your business, I'd recommend a discovery call with Ginger Desk and seeing how beyond what I've shared for considerations in Practice Better, they can help you beyond that. So that's kind of the perfect scenario. Maybe if feeling like you have exhausted everything, where a VA can step in to take things further.
And we're happy, I'll just elaborate on that too, Brittany. We're happy to talk to you about different options. Sometimes the option isn't to get support. And sometimes there might be features that you thought you had optimized, but you weren't. And that's the nice thing about talking to a team of folks who do this day in, day out, is they've seen that sometimes there are some features that practitioners think that they've kind of mastered and they're not using it in the best way. So we can talk about different options there too.
Cool. So Chris is asking, I like the idea to use programs between one-on-one sessions. Wouldn't that add a task though to monitor the client's engagement or completion of the program contents? Chris, I would say it could. It depends on what your goal is with that additional resource to them, whether you want to kind of put the onus on them to just have at their fingertips should they want to explore and learn more, or if you want to ensure that they're actually going through that content. We make it really easy by having kind of an analysis section in programs so that you can very quickly see someone's status. And that could be part of, your initial follow-up call. So maybe you're putting in your note template to just quickly check that and go through that with them so they can go through the progress, ask how they've fared with the content, if they have any questions. If you've included tasks in your program, asking how those went. So, that might seem like an extra task, but it also could just be a really good opportunity to frame a follow-up conversation so that you have some structure to that as well. I'm going to answer some of these kind of after Julie hops off, because Julie only has a couple minutes left. So Julie, does Ginger help load content for a program inside of Practice Better?
We absolutely do that. That's part of our setup or optimization, and you can just contact us for a quote on what specifically you need done. It may look different for some practitioners versus others, and we recognize that.
Wonderful. Okay, so maybe we'll say goodbye, Julie, and I'll stay on a couple more minutes to wrap up some of the Practice Better questions, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah, and we'll just quickly share on screen here that if anyone has any additional questions for Ginger Desk that we didn't have the opportunity to answer today, hello@gingerdesk.com is going to be a great resource for you, and you can connect with their team and continue to learn about all the different ways that they can benefit your business. So
thank you so much. Thanks, Brittany, and thanks everyone from Practice Better and the whole community. This was so fun, and I had such a great time. So thanks for having me.
Bye, Julie.
Bye.
Okay, so we're going to keep rolling with, I know that we have a few more Practice Better questions, so I'm going to hit just a few more, and then I too have to hop off for another meeting. So Carolyn is saying, can you give us a link for the community page with all of those templates? Yes, you bet. I'm going to drop this in the chat so that anyone who wants the done for you templates that I shared on screen there can access them. These are located through our community space, and this is an incredible place for you to network with other practitioners, connect with some of the people on the Practice Better team, attend live getting started classes. We have Practice Better Academy there. It's really just an incredible resource all around for all things Practice Better and that clean life. So go to that link, and then from there you can kind of navigate other ways. Gwen is saying, where can I buy pre-made programs that I can just edit? There's a few kind of third-party practitioners or people in our health and wellness space that do offer that, though they're not associated with Practice Better through any kind of like formal partnership or anything of that sort. And then Gwen, we also have the ones that we offer our users completely for free. So I'll drop that link again in the chat if you want to take a look at those. Rosemary is saying, currently using Practice Better and having kind of a technical issue. You know what, Rosemary, our customer experience team, maybe you can send them another email if you need to, but they're fantastic. And if they haven't got back to you, I'm sure that it's on their radar. So they'll hear you there. I'm going to drop our technical support email in the chat as well. So if you encounter anything, this is where you can go. Pam is asking, is there a phone number, a way that we can rapidly get help from Practice Better when we cannot get back in? The email is currently probably your best bet. The other option is we are working on live chat with actual members of our customer experience team. So that is in the works. I think it's launching very soon, but that will give you live chat. So that is not a phone number, but it will give you kind of live access. Okay, I'm going to take a look at the chat here before I wrap things up and say goodbye. What is the response team of the customer service team? It depends, Pam. It depends on the volume of questions coming in, which is not always the same, right? We might have a slower day and we might have a very busy day if we've recently launched a new feature, or, it's a certain time of year is busier than others. Like holidays tend to be a little bit slower. If our staff's on vacation, not everyone goes on vacation at once, of course, but you know what I mean, that if there's somebody who is out, little things like that can impact it, but it's huge goal of us to provide a very quick response time always. That is also where the community space can be extremely helpful, because you can ask your question, other practitioners may weigh in, or some of our team members as well. So that can be really great. I would say that unless your issue is like a technical troubleshooting issue, use the community space as your first source of information. And then usually you can get the answer that you need. We have staff in there that's looking to help answer questions, and then other practitioners are always really helpful as well. Okay, I'm going to do a very last call for questions. I'll answer maybe one more. So whoever's the lucky one that gets a question in, and then I have to sneak off to a meeting. But it's been so fantastic connecting. I definitely recognize some of your names from other live sessions as well. Can you send replay? Yes. A little fact, all of our classes, sessions, webinars, whatever you want to call them at Practice Better, are always recorded and always sent out as a replay. So you will always have access to these sessions. So we will probably be sending that to your inbox tomorrow afternoon. Okay, thank you all so much for carving out some time in your busy days to join us for today's session. It's been so nice hearing your feedback and your questions. So I will wrap things up and see you for the next one. Have a great day, everybody.